heading to the tip of Kent and possible evidence of the first Roman invasion of Britain. I came here back in 2010 for Digging for Britain to see the excavations in advance of the construction of the Kent Access Road. I witnessed the unearthing of Bronze Age burial mounds, Iron Age treasure,
here we've got a tiny gold coin,
and multiple Roman graves. But this was just the tip of the archaeological iceberg, because after I left, the team made their most amazing discovery: the ditches of a vast fort that was potentially Roman. We know that this area of Kent was where the Romans invaded in AD 43, but incredibly the team dated this fort to almost a century earlier. At this time, only one Roman general was known to have visited our shores, the mighty Julius Caesar. So was this fort the first tangible evidence of his time in Britain? Now, no archaeological evidence of Caesar's actual arrival in Britain has ever been found, so the discovery of an early Roman fort is providing archaeologists with a precious opportunity to get closer to the truth. In the 50s BC, Julius Caesar is recorded as making 2 fleeting visits to our island. Dr. Andrew Fitzpatrick believes that this fort could have been built during one of those trips. Now he just needs to prove it. What he hopes to find is Roman military equipment that he can date to the time of Caesar.
We know that Caesar, in the second invasion, brought at least 25,000 soldiers and 800 ships. That must have left a lot of evidence.
If Andrew succeeds, he'll not only have found Julius Caesar's fort, but put us on the path to understanding why he made this early exploration of Britain. Andrew's first task is to get to grips with the full layout of the fort. His team uses geophysics to map the line of the ditches that once ringed the encampment. As the results come in, they reveal a tantalising clue.
Our geophysical survey showed that the fort runs in a rather unusual, irregular pattern here. So I think this is a specific style of defence to encircle large areas. And the reason it's a large area is because what this is defending isn't so much the soldiers as the fleet. And so the key to the story really is the sea.
Andrew believes that the fort's huge ditches formed a circuit of defences that protected nearby Pegwell Bay. This large open area is not only the perfect place to land a sizable navy, but also matches the description of Caesar's second visit to Britain in 54 BC. It looks like Andrew is on the right track, but he now needs to find dateable Roman artefacts left behind by Caesar's army. He believes the ditches are the best place to find them. As his team starts digging, they discover something intriguing.
Well, we believe it to be a Roman arrowhead.
And where was it found?
It was found about 30 centimetres off the bottom of that ditch there.
So it's from really near the bottom of the ditch.
Yeah.
So that could be a really important find for us in trying to establish if these ditches were dug by the armies of Julius Caesar.
Although rusty and broken, this piece of iron could represent a major breakthrough in Andrew's search for Caesar. Because to a specialist's eye, Roman weaponry is just as diagnostic as a World War I rifle for a modern historian. To make a positive identification, it still needs a good clean, so Andrew takes the find to conservator Graham Morgan for initial analysis. After a couple of hours of work, the weapon turns out not to be an arrowhead, but the tip of a spear.
Right, there we are. There's the object so far. It's very corroded. But that might be like the illustration you showed me before.
This one here.
You can see there's a centre rib on that as well, very similar.
I know that this weapon here was found in a Roman camp at the siege works of Alesia, and that's a site that Julius Caesar attacked in 52 BC. So the question is this from Ebbsfleet similar enough to the one from Alesia to suggest that we really do have firm evidence for Roman soldiers at Ebbsfleet in the 50s BC. And it looks quite close.
It does, yeah.
This possible Roman spearhead is an exciting clue, but to be sure that the fort belonged to Julius Caesar, Andrew needs more evidence. In September 2017, he returns to the site for the final time, hoping this time to unearth conclusive proof. The team begins by trying to find one of the entranceways to the fort, where they believe they're likely to find more artefacts. But their first discovery is totally unexpected.
So is it two skulls there, or are there more?
There are more. There's these two, there's one over there, and there's one you may just about see being uncovered there.
Gosh, that's remarkable.
The team believes that these skulls may have once lined the approach to the fort as a chilling deterrent to the locals. If they're right, then perhaps they're close to one of the fort's entrances. They expand their trench and make a breakthrough.
And then we have a road here, which you can see in the cobbling, visible behind me, and it runs into the entrance of the defended enclosure.
Andrew believes the fort would have been similar to Caesar's other camps in France, with earthen banks, defensive ditches, and a rough cobbled road leading into the entrance. But more important is what the team find on the road. Strewn across the site is more human bone, heavily corroded weapons, and one tiny find that could be the key in linking this fort to Julius Caesar.
Well, this small bit of iron could be the first hobnail that we found on this site. And you can see there's a shank here, and then it comes down to a slightly pointed domed head. Now, if that turns out to be a hobnail, the surface in which it's been found dates to the 1st century BC. And the only people who came to Britain wearing boots with hobnails in them were the soldiers of Julius Caesar's army. There can be no doubt about the significance of hobnails, and it would be, in many ways, the smallest of details that give us the clinching fact, the biggest of stories of the first chapter of Britain's history.
So could this humble piece of rusty iron solve one of the biggest questions in Roman archaeology in Britain? To hear the latest news from the site, I've asked Andrew to come into our lab with some of the most important finds. Oh, how exciting. Andrew, what is all the evidence that you're using to come to your conclusion that this probably is Caesar's fort?
We have a very large defended enclosure that dates to the 1st century BC. The shape of the defences is very similar to known Roman sites in France of 52 BC of Caesar. It's the right place, geography fits. We have weaponry that could well fit. And it's in terms of where would you land your army, I think it's here. It all points to that conclusion.
If that is a hobnail, is that going to clinch it?
It would be very strongly suggestive, and there are other pieces. We have possible Roman weapons.
These things here?
Yep. So the possibility is that this in your hand is the tip of the pilum, which is a Roman type of weapon.
And this is the diagram over here?
This is the one, and it's the same size, it's the same shape, and we know this particular one was found in a Roman fort of 52 BC. And there are other examples found in Italy. And the interesting thing about that is that's where Julius Caesar raised his legions, in North Italy.
It's all starting to stack up, isn't it? With the fort looking likely to have belonged to Julius Caesar, Andrew has started to think about the reasons that motivated his visits. Why do you think Julius Caesar came?
My personal view is he comes for the glory, because he's going beyond the known world. For the Romans, the world stops at France. Britain is almost a mythical land. They're still not sure that people really live there. And he brings it under the control of the Roman world. So he achieves great glory because of that.
There must have been some political benefit as well.
Well, one of the key things is what happens afterwards. And this isn't an army of occupation. It's not going to be there with boots on the ground. The way the Romans work for many centuries is they work through the local rulers and they get the local elite to work with them. When Julius Caesar leaves in 54, he does two things. He agrees the amount of tribute that will be paid to Rome, but he also takes hostages. And those hostages are very often the family and the youngsters of the rulers. And it means that Britain is tied into the Roman world, and the kings of Britain become client kings of Rome, and effectively they are part of the Roman Empire.
Caesar's campaign diary provides us with some of the earliest written descriptions of Britain, as well as our first recorded dates. Andrews made a compelling case for this having been Caesar's fault. And rather than a simple story of conquest, Rome appears to have spent a full century softening up British rulers before finally taking over.